So hey everybody, my name is Paul Newson. Welcome to this short little interview in this new series that we've started. Today we've got someone really special uh, who's been with us for a little while, name's Fiona Kelly. And in today's interview, we're going to talk about her journey through lymphedema, through breast cancer, uh, how she's literally overcome lymphedema. She hadn't seen swelling for quite some time now, and I'll let her tell you that story. If you haven't heard of me before, my name is Paul Newson. I'm the founder of spiritvalley.org, and our sole focus is helping women over the age of 40 uncover and have their life purpose revealed to them. And that tends to happen when we get to 40, 45, 50, where we realize that that life that we've been living is just no longer fulfilling, and there's a transitional phase. And often it's found, certainly was for me, in the depths of despair or great challenges where we're kind of shown a bigger purpose. And that's certainly true of today's guest, Fiona Kelly. So Fiona, g'day.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. Lovely to have you here once more.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So we might start off and maybe give the viewers just an overview of your journey, because your journey's been amazing. I've been watching you unfold. I think it's for about a year or year and a half, something like that.
Mhm.
And I remember when you first came, there was a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainty. But I know that your story stems back further, so perhaps maybe we could just start with just to give everybody else a glimpse of where you've come from. So what was your journey with breast cancer and lymphedema?
So when I was 32, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and living in a really small local or regional town. So there wasn't a lot of support after going through chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And then I was a teacher at the time, and I still continued to work throughout those periods because I didn't have any leave in them. The lymphedema didn't actually start until my daughter was born. So she was about 6 months old. So in 2008, I developed lymphedema. And once again, living in small regional towns, there's very little help. Um, I believe we've got amazing GPs in the country, but they don't know a lot about lymphedema. It's like it's not talked about a great deal, and it's a big concern of the lymphedema community that GPs don't know a great deal. So I didn't have a lot of support, and I certainly didn't have a nurse that I could go to or anything like that. So I kind of bought like off the shelf compression garments, and I saw one physiotherapist in Brisbane after sort of traveling 8 hours back and forth. My husband at the time came with me, and he was shown how to massage, but as soon as we got home, he wasn't interested in doing any of that. So, it was kind of like I was just there by myself. I was working, I was looking after, my daughter, and I was just trying to do everything with this one off the shelf compression garment, and a little bit of self massage. So it wasn't actually changing my story very much. And no one had talked to me about any holistic ideas around anything else that I should be looking at.
And so what size, I mean, that obviously sounds like you had a pretty full plate, like, because you're a teacher. So you were
Mhm.
teaching back then also?
Yeah, so I was teaching, and it's Moree is a very hot place where I was living, so therefore I was teaching with a garment on, and explaining to the kids that I was teaching why I was wearing this strange sleeve. Um, I I didn't let it stop me doing anything, but it certainly um, played a big psychological pressure, I guess, in
Mm.
terms of, always aware of what you can and can't do, like, so it's like, you don't pull a weed out of the garden without a glove on and all those crazy things that you just take for granted.
What were some of the things that you couldn't do, and like why?
So, very basically, just buying a shirt off the shelf wasn't possible because my arm was like, 5 times bigger than my other arm. So, there's no way that I could just go and buy a shirt or a jacket or any of those clothes that, you take for granted that, okay, a size 10, I'll just go by this. Well, it wasn't the
Five
case.
times bigger. That's huge.
Yeah, it was
Big of
really large
expression.
at times.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't always 5 times bigger, but a lot of the time it was very big. And then I started to get, what else could I do? So, like we have hot spas in Maury, and, they recommend that you actually don't go into water above 30 degrees when you've got lymphedema because it, wreck your system. I thought it was best to slow down on the exercise. Completely not what I've heard now and what I do now, but that at the time I stopped doing as much as I was. And yeah, I guess, you're just conscious, like they talk about, you shouldn't lift anything with that arm, which is pretty impossible when you've got a child and you've, shopping and all of those things that are just day-to-day basic things. So I kind of ignored most of that advice and just did everything that I probably shouldn't have.
And what did that do to the lymphedema? Did it make it worse, or what was the
It made it
experience?
worse. And then I started to get fibrosis, which is where the tissues actually harden in the arm.
Mm.
And so not only a fat arm, but a fat hard arm, where you actually then can't move the tissue away and the lymph away because of the fact that it's just stuck.
Like how are you? Because you're a high school teacher, yeah?
Hmm.
How are
Hmm.
you feeling at that point? Like that? I mean, I remember going through high school, and I didn't have a great high school career. I mean, that high school kids are probably, I thought anyway, harsher than little kids. What was that like for you? Like, how are
So
you feeling?
luckily, I was in a very beautiful little school, and the kids were they were aware that I'd gone through, well, not all of them, but a lot of them that had seen me go through the breast cancer journey and be bald at school because I didn't have leave, so I was still working through that. So therefore, when I appeared in a sleeve, years later, it was still a case of, oh well, this is just an ongoing journey, and they were still very supportive. The community
Mm,
was supportive. So, but it's hard to explain to a very, to a teenager who's very, what do I say, conscious of their appearance, as to why, I would be wearing this really ugly, beige sleeve on
mm.
a really hot day.
Yeah. And how was your confidence overall? Like, what were you actually going through deep down underneath all of that?
Oh, I think it was a really struggle. I didn't realize how bad it was until afterwards. That, like it was a real daily grind because even to get the sleeve on, it takes time of a morning to get it on properly, to do it, to make sure that it's, all sitting right. And, to then, so there's enormous pressure, like to find the time to do all those things and then actually get out the door. And so you're already feeling hassled before you actually start your day. So yeah, there's a lot of mental fatigue in, and I guess I was questioning lots of things like what has blown it up bigger to be bigger today than it was before, and what have I done, that's caused the inflammation this time.
What did it do
So
to your
yeah,
confidence and your self-esteem and self-worth? Did it have an effect on that? Like, surely it must have been
yeah,
real,
absolutely.
real
So,
challenge.
I was very conscious of how I dressed. So, like I always had scarves or like light jackets, even if it was hot, I try to dress so that therefore it minimize that impact. I was really worried about what other people would think, and I probably didn't do the best thing by my lymphedema because I was so worried about what other people would think that I would take my garment off when I probably shouldn't have. So, um, it was a pretty stressful time, but I guess there was lots of other stress going on, so I just kind of ran with it. But had the stress not been going, my big question has always been, would I have had that much information?
What do you mean by that?
So I believe that stress is a really big part of information in our bodies.
Mm,
And if we're not feeling stressed, then our bodies react better and do a greater job of keeping the information down. So my case is, what came first is like the lymphedema or the stress, and
Yeah.
it's a big thing that I've always thought of. If I wasn't stressed from other things at that time, would I have been better off?
That's so interesting. Like there's so much research and information. It's something that I've always been fascinated with and something that we bring into Spirit Valley to help our students. As you would know, the finding purpose and living from a place of inner peace doesn't happen in the stress response. And when you understand the stress response, it's basically when a human being goes into the fight or flight mode, and as animals, or every animal's got the fight or flight response, and that's when it's perceiving danger. And if an animal's perceiving danger, then the question is, do I run or do I fight? And most animals will run, some will fight. And as humans, as animals, we have that same response. But unlike animals, when the threat's over, the animal returns back to homeostasis or being calm again. Yet humans replay the event and then tend to worry about it as if it's going to happen again. And when a human being overly like worries, they stay in that stress response. And what the stress response actually is an injection of cortisol into the bloodstream. And excessive cortisol, especially over 40, it plays a huge big factor with hormones, creates excessive weight, it's tension, it's anxiety. And so humans these days are consistently in a state of fight or flight, and they're tense. They're tense about getting an SMS or an email or a phone call from an unrecognized number. And it's not just that, they just replay that thing over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where no wonder the body shuts down and gets so ill. So what were some of the things that you did to become aware of that? And how did you?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I understood this all a little bit way too late, because of the fact that I now know all of that, but at the time I didn't, and so
Mm,
it played a massive part in how things were working for me, because of the fact that I really was in a very stressed situation, and going through a lot of stress. And I then had a second child, and that added to the pressure of working, and home life, and the unhappy marriage and everything that was going on. And it was really, really hard to make sure that I was in, and I don't think I realized that I was in that, fight or flight response constantly,
mm,
um, for many years afterwards. And so therefore, the reaction my body was having was just like I was just dealing with the symptoms there and then,
mm.
and I wasn't looking any further. And it's unfortunate that I, could have saved many years of going through these problems if I'd known what I know now.
Well, that's life. You got to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that you tried that didn't work? Because we'll get to the part that did work. I think that's what everyone wants to hear. But you know, just remind me what's out there that doesn't work.
So for me, the compression garment, that I was using wasn't great. It sort of held things, I guess, is a way to put it. So it didn't blow up any further, but it didn't actually solve any problem. Um, Most people believe that lymphedema can't actually be reversed, and I want to change that messaging out there to say, it can. And I, as I said before, because I was so remote, I didn't have access to pumps or other knowledge. I did adjust my diet somewhat, and I was aware that some foods were more inflammatory than others. And so I tried that, but once again, I didn't know as much as I know now, so I didn't push that further. Um, and basically, I did some exercise, but it wasn't good enough by itself. So nothing that I did was, good enough. I guess it's the whole system that all came together for me.
And what were like the professionals telling you to do? What and like
So the
what's out there?
professionals are very much a case of just massage, do self massage every day. I've called my program Elevate Health because of the fact that when you have lymphedema, all they say is elevate your arm. That was all I was told, was elevate your arm and self massage. So elevate your arm is literally putting your arm up and holding it, like on top of the couch or against some pillows, for a couple of hours each day. And I don't know, you understand little children, and so you're sitting there with little children and elevating your arm while you've got lots of things to do in the house is actually really impractical. And didn't actually, it felt great to have it draining, but it didn't actually do any great, amazing things. So I wouldn't wake up in the morning going, oh wow, that's so much better.
And I suppose it wouldn't be practical to go and get your arm massaged every day either, so you kind of have to do it yourself.
No, so I was really lucky out there that we had one beautiful lady who was actually trained in the Vada technique, which is very rare. Um, but while she was beautiful and a great friend, that it's not subsidized by Medicare, the Vada technique, and so it's not recognized under the health system or even private health to have it rebated. And so therefore, even though I could have booked in every week, I certainly couldn't afford to do it. So yeah, it was I used to maybe go once a month, and that worked, but I couldn't afford to go weekly.
Hmm. Well, that's kind of brings me like makes me think. So just remind me, how long were you actually suffering with lymphedema for?
So all up in about 15, 16 years
Wow.
that
So
I
it was what
had.
would become just normal.
Yeah, yeah. And eventually I chucked the compression garments away because I had so much fibrosis that I was like, well, it's just going to be like that forevermore. And I just got on with life. I was just like, I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to read any more about it. I can't see any way of fixing it. And then, when it got really bad, I used to go and find someone to massage, but that was pretty much how it was. I just accepted that I would never see any difference.
Amazing. And so, all right, so 15 years, that's a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. I remember when I was 15, it felt like I'd been alive forever. It's a long time.
Yeah, like my daughter is 16 and I developed it when she was 6 months old. So,
Mm. And so then there's this point for you where everything changes, right? There's this
yeah.
there's this like, well, hang on, this is beginning to work. Stuff's beginning to change. And I know there was a few changes that you made just sort of within yourself. Um, just remind us, how long did it take for the swelling to go down?
So initially the product I was trying, wasn't trying for lymphedema. I was just trying because of the fact that I'd bought these products for use with my daughter and she refused to use them. And so therefore I thought, oh, I'm not going to let them sit in the cupboard. And so I'll start using them. And so it was about 30 days before I realized or sort of noticed that my arm was squishy for the first time in those 15 years. And I was so excited. Like I just, I remember sitting on a Zoom talking to another person just being so excited that I had found that my arm was squishy. And following that, probably another 6 months to actually get it back to the same size as the upper limb.
And how long has it been since that?
Yeah, so this is what are we talking? So it's about 8 months, I guess, of or maybe a bit longer, maybe nearly a year of having complete no swelling.
Show us your arms.
Okay, So here are both of my hands. This is the one that was affected, and you can see by my wrist size that there's a little bit of puffiness there, but not much. And yeah, so no rings, no elastic garments, no anything before,
Wow.
because of the fact that it just, it would flare up, and my rings would have to be cut off, I think.
So I know there was like a few things that you kind of did. One of them was you looked at, as we already touched on it, you looked at your ability to navigate, go beyond stress.
Mhm.
Um,
So yeah, that was really important to change my environment. So I've done lots of work to change my environment and change how I think about things, to therefore change my stress levels and yeah, just live a happier life, really.
Amazing. And so there was, I mean, I guess you could say the way you perceive the world makes a big difference. And that's a huge thing. There's also, because you've got like a holistic approach now, like when you speak with women. So that's the cool thing about what you're doing is now, and this is the cool thing I love about you, Fee, is that um Fee's biggest challenge was when I first met her was she's like, I got rid of my lymphedema and I want to help other women. And I'll never forget this. You said, but who's going to listen to me? I'm not a doctor. Like, I don't have a medical certificate. And I remember saying to you, how many of those doctors or nurses actually had lymphedema? And you were like, none of them. I was like, how many of them have overcome lymphedema? And you're like, none of them. I was like, everyone wants to talk to you because you found a way to do it that's just not conventional. And
Yeah, as I said, believe forward that most people don't believe that you can reverse it. They just believe you have to manage it.
yeah, right. And so here you are turning around and overcoming that kind of fear. Because I know what that fear is like when I first started too, doing the work I'm doing. It's like, who's going to listen to me? I'm not, I didn't go through university or anything like that. But the world is changing in such a beautiful way where people now are more interested in speaking to people that have got results in something like the amount of people I speak to that have gone to psychologists and psychiatrists or counselors for 20 years, not to discredit what they do, but have had more enlightenment breakthroughs and sense of happiness and peace from one session be, because I kind of came through that process on my own and figured out how to teach it. And
Yeah.
with the introduction of, social media and the way the thing is done, more and more people are coming forward saying, hey, I've overcome bulimia, I've overcome depression, I've overcome anxiety, I've overcome lymphedema, I overcame cancer, I've overcome all these different things. And people are like, okay, great, I'm sick of being told what to do by someone who's never had it. Show me, show me how you did that. Just show me how you did that, and I'll tuck in behind you and do whatever you tell me to do. So just give us like a nice overview, because in a moment we'll put a little link underneath this. So if you're watching this and you have lymphedema and you want to move past that, it can't be reduced or reversed, and you're kind of sick of carrying around that extra weight and you want to come back to normality, you'll be able to book in with Fee and just have a conversation with her. So tell us a little bit about, you know, um, what you do and how you help.
So as I said before, I think that the environment is essential. Like if you have a stressful event or stressful things in your life, then you need to find a way to move past those and not to continually rehash them, as you were talking about before. I believe that nutrition is essential, and like if we look at the supermarket shelves, we're filling our carts and our bodies with an enormous amount of crap that we really need to be conscious of. And I believe that movement is essential. Like there's so many of us who, as we get older, become more sedentary, and it's actually so detrimental to our overall health, not just for lymphedema, but for every part of ourselves, and including our stress levels. So it's all like this big cycle, isn't it? But then I found the really big the big answer that that plays into this, and that was finding a way to activate my stem cells.
Mm. Wow. So stem cells, that's something that's, I mean, I've heard of that. I've got a vague idea. How would you kind of summarize that for a layman? Because I know it's super techy.
So I think most people think of stem cell therapy in terms of thousands and thousands of dollars and having operations and or having syringed stem cell pumped into them. This wasn't the case. It was a simple patch that stem cells work in our system to regenerate our tissues, create as like an anti-inflammatory, and in lymphedema's case is to sort of channel and create new pathways for the lymph to move, and repair those cells that were damaged. So in my case, the lymphedema came across from being damaged from the operations that I had. Some people have primary lymphedema, and I do believe that the same thing happens, that their lymph cells need repairing. And so the stem cells would go to work and work on areas in your body that need to be fixed.
Kind of revolutionary.
It's pretty powerful, and I think that there's a lot of work going to be going into this area in the future, because of the fact that so many people have found so much benefit in, not just repairing their stem cells, their cells, but in healthy aging and being able to heal things naturally rather than using painkillers.
It just fascinates me how, um, you know, you bought, you found this because you bought this for your daughter's anxiety.
Correct.
That's the
So,
funniest thing, the coolest thing. Not funny, but it's cool. It's just,
well, yeah. So I bought one set of patches for my daughter's anxiety, and then because I was buying them, I bought these other ones, which I was being a bit vain about to, improve my skin tone and my face. And yeah, so I started using a combination of these patches, and yeah, here we are with some results. So it's
amazing.
pretty exciting, really.
Um, and so how long, like, do you think everybody can expect to get the same results in the same timeline as you, or what's your thoughts around that?
No,
What
I
are you
don't think
noticing?
anyone. So I think that because of the fact that I've done a lot of work on my own nutrition, and a lot of work on exercise and my stress levels, that my body was reasonably clean and detoxed, if I can use that word.
Mm,
Um, and so I think that for some people, it would probably take a little bit longer, if depending on sort of what state your body's in.
mm.
Um, but I do believe it's possible for everyone. It just may be a case of it may be a little bit longer timing, or depending on the intensity of your actual lymphedema, it may be that we have to look at some other patches to introduce to help with that detoxing process.
That's amazing. Well, Fee, like you're an inspiration, and I love that you're turning around and overcoming your own self doubts in order to reach out and to help other women that want to take the path. And I remember doing some research and seeing there was 250 million women globally with lymphedema presently. So there's obviously a huge need, and if like you say, everyone tends to believe that it can't be reversed, you're literally the beacon of hope, and so humble and so soft spoken and so grounded about it. I just I just know that for those that are ready to overcome that past story of it can't be fixed, um, to be able to talk with you and just have your ability to listen and with care and genuineness to figure out you know how to help or if you can help is you're such a blessing to the world, and I'm sure you're going to be
Thank you.
most revered and loved. And if you're listening, I know Fee, we talked about it previously. is offering like a handful of discovery sessions where if this does sound like a journey that you're ready to take, in other words, you have to be willing to overcome what the rest of the world is telling you. There's no point talking to Fee if you want to defend the problem. You really have to be at that point where you've had enough. Fee does the most amazing discovery sessions, which are completely holistic, where she takes the time to understand your situation through, where's your body at the moment, where's your mindset at, where's your levels of peace, where are you feeling stressed, just to get a nice overall picture so that she can give you an accurate overview and a step-by-step plan moving forward to help you get the same results. And what I love about Fee is when she works with people, it's almost like a sisterhood. The community that she's creating is one of hope, one of more importantly results, and I'm just sure that the more people you help, the more people are going to want to help other people. And I think that what you've done needs to be shared with the world, or the lymphedema world, and very quickly, because there's obviously a way out.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I think that's it's really beautiful, and I cannot not share this. I think that would be grossly, irresponsible not to go and share what I've learned myself. I saw a picture of a poor woman in the UK who couldn't get a shoe on and had to go to the doctors and in the English winter, with a plastic bag around her foot. So I just feel very sorry for anyone who, has not got the help that they need. So,
Well, I know you're very busy. Full-time mum, teacher, and I'm sure you may find yourself losing the teaching role before too long at this rate. Once the word gets out, I think you're going to have the doors knocked down. But if you want to speak to Fee, make sure that you book a time. There's a little link below you can just click on. Please make sure that you respect Fee's time. She is busy. She can't speak to a great deal of people right now because she does have a lot going on. But I know you've got a little bit of room for a few people.
yeah.
Amazing. So go ahead and book, and if you can see some time in her diary, uh, make a space, be open, be willing to share, and I wish you the best on your journey with Fee, because you're in great hands. So Fee, any final thoughts? Any final words?
No, I think that's it. So thanks very much for your time. It's been great to chat.
All right, cool. Well, thank you everybody, and make sure you speak to Fee. You can get rid of that swelling for sure.